Hey everybody, welcome back to another book review. So this one is another one for Silver Shamrock Publishing. As you can see, or I've noticed, I've got a long list coming in from them. I will be breaking it up here very soon with a book review for good grief, HarperCollins Canada, and probably some independents here very soon. But in the meantime, we're going to continue with Silver. So this one is called Gulf by Shelley Campbell. And again, we will go through the synopsis and then go from there. 17-year-old David is fading from his world, like a Polaroid picture in reverse. He longs to feel connected to something bigger. When his brothers discover the new extension at the rental cottage comes with a locked door. David finds the key first. Expecting to claim a bedroom, he opens a dimensional gateway instead, exploring abandoned versions of his world in different timelines. 1960s music or muscle 1960s muscle cars alternating with crumbling cottages. Except now, the dimensional bridge won't close, and something hungry claws the door at night. David scores for clues to break the bridge, but each trip to the other side makes him fade more on his own. Even if he succeeds, he risks severing his connection to his own world and dying on the wrong side, forgotten. This one was a really interesting story. So, starting off simply with the cover is very, very interesting. I like how it was done. A simple gradient in the background with, an even simpler silhouette was just a very enticing way to give you a lot of intrigue into what the story could be about. And the only thing on the cover aside from the title is they only come out at night, and that is one of the biggest key pieces to the story as he as David explores this other dimensional side through that door. He finds things he doesn't want to find, and things that haunt and hunt and kill and all those kinds of things on the other side. And the key to that is they come out at night, as most bad things do, right? Whatever goes bump in the night is what goes bump in the night. And going through the story, it took me a while to actually get through this one, and it has more to do with the fact that I found myself getting very angry at the family in which David is connected to. I understand he's 17 years old, and a little bit of a sidebar, this woman has 7 children, okay? And he's the youngest of 7. So I totally get families can get big, they can get chaotic, and usually one child gets left out or lost in the scuffle somewhere. I get that's usually how that goes. I'll never understand that because I don't understand how you can forget a child. I don't care what the circumstances are. But, usually from my personal experience, usually it's the middle child that kind of gets left out. That's why it's called middle child syndrome. The oldest kind of gets barned with all this responsibilities of looking after the younger ones and being expected to grow up too fast because they're the older ones and, should know better. While the youngest one usually gets the most pampering because, well, they're the baby. And, being the youngest of 7, that's exactly what I would have expected. But on the contrary, I found that the youngest of 7 was the most ignored out of all of them. And it's not something I truly understand. I will never understand the concept of favoring one child over another, or preferring one child over another, or, again, I don't care how many children you have. I don't understand the concept of leaving them behind someplace, of going to a grocery store and leaving them there, or going to a gas station and leaving them there. Like, how can you not count heads, especially knowing you have that many kids? How do you not get into a habit or a routine of always counting heads? Or just I don't understand that concept, and I don't know if I ever will. It doesn't matter if someone tries to describe it to me or not. It's not a concept I think I will ever grasp or understand. And because this story has basically the entire thing is based on that concept. He is the forgotten little baby of the group, and there are only 2 people in the entire family that seems to make a consistent effort to try and keep him visible rather than invisible, which ironically enough is not the mother. But it kept making me angry because, you know, even down to small things, like you put in the effort to make sure that your children are fed and clothed and looked after. And I know the toll that it takes because I'm a mother. I get it. But, like, how do you get to a point where you forget to do things or you just don't do things? The youngest was always left out, even with small, in inconsequential things like setting the table. They mentioned the fact that a plate was never set out for him, or that he's easily forgotten, or he just fades away into the background. Well, why? How does that become a thing? How does a parent, how does a parent or anybody forget about someone that you birthed or looked after? Even if you adopted the person, you have willingly accepted the responsibility of that human being. So how can you, forget about them or let them fade into the background like that? It's not something I get. And this whole story in between the supernatural dimensional piece to it is all based on that concept. And it really made me angry a lot of the time because I don't get it. I mean, I would get into the story and it would come around to that point again. And honestly, I found myself putting the book down and hugging my kids. I found myself wanting to spend more and more with them and less reading the book just because that's how it made me feel. So this book took me a little while to finish, and it got to the point where I was just downright determined to get it done so I could move on from it because I didn't want to feel that way anymore. So, I mean, all in all, I mean, it was a well-written story. It had, some unique concepts, and I definitely feel like there could be a sequel coming from this just because of how it ended. And there's a lot of potential from it, especially from a supernatural standpoint. If you take the whole family piece out of it, there's a lot of potential for it. Learning more about the dimensional bridge and why it won't close, and more about how it was created and how far deep does it go. There are things that happen within the story. Why is it that you exist more on one side than the other? And, I'm not happily not, exploiting too many details because all of that most of that can become from the synopsis itself. So I'm not giving any spoilers away, thankfully. But like I said, there's a lot of potential for the story for sure. And it was well written. There was a lot of really good detail. I like the world building. I like the fact that there were different timelines explained and gone through within the story as the different versions of the world were changing. And, I liked all those kinds of things. I would love to know more about it in that respect, the when, the why, the how, and all those kinds of things that I like to know when it comes to a supernatural story. But when it comes to the family bit, I don't get it. I mean, I know that postpartum is a real thing. Absolutely. I went through some of that myself, but there are definitely parts of it I will never understand. And I don't know, maybe I'm just not meant to, and that's okay. So, I mean, if I take that part of it out and ignore it, I'd say the book was overall well done and I enjoyed it. If I put that story in, I dragged my feet to try and finish it just because, like I said, it made me incredibly angry to go through it. And sad. Lots of sad sorrow moments that I really felt sorry for the baby of the group. Honestly, I felt sorry for all the kids, but mostly him. So, that is that. So, again, that is sort of, that is my overall thought and opinion on this particular book. And as I've mentioned in the last couple of videos, I have another copy of this book. I have two of them. If you're interested in reading this book and would like a physical copy for yourself to give a go, I'm not selling them, I'm just giving them away. So if you don't mind pitching in and paying for the shipping, I will be more than happy to send this your way. Just drop a comment down below in the comments and we can definitely work out those details, or find me on social media. I'm on pretty much all the major platforms, so feel free to reach out. And yeah, so again, that is my thoughts and opinions on The Gulf by Shelley Campbell, a book review for Silver Shamrock Publishing, and I will be back again soon with another book review. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Happy reading.